All week long, the weather forecast for Saturday night in Madison looked dicey, but here we are, and it could not be nicer. The Radicals looking to stay undefeated, and the Thunderbirds bidding for the road upset. Madison and Pittsburgh right now.
The Thunderbirds take a 1-0 lead.
One of the challenges for us is never overlook a team.
Raffy makes an unbelievably heroic finish right now. Bates Hoffman, he throws a little one out to Pettit Scantling. Throws one into space, which is brought down for a goal. The layout, and he gets one. A layout grab and a goal. Yes, it's a Callahan!
In a place where they know such a long winter, there's nothing like summer in Madison. And tonight, our AUDL Saturday Showcase brings you the undefeated Madison Radicals and the 6-2 Pittsburgh Thunderbirds. We are live at Breeze-Stevens Field, where tonight the top two teams in the Midwest meet for the second and final time this year. Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us. Evan Lepler alongside Megan Tormian. Coming into the season, the narrative in this division was two teams battling for the top, Pittsburgh and Madison. They are the top two, but it certainly feels like there's one, and then there's a huge gap between that next tier. What's the story with Pittsburgh, and how do they change that narrative tonight?
Well, they've really struggled all season to find their identity, but they're a team of very talented individuals. If Coach David Hogan can find the cohesion necessary, they still might be a formidable force for Madison to fight against come later this season.
Well, a couple weeks ago, Pittsburgh had perhaps a season-changing weekend. They won at Chicago. They won at Minnesota on back-to-back days. This win would be even bigger than those two for obvious reasons, trying to snap all of the Radicals' winning streaks. And if they're going to get it done, they're going to be without several of their top players, but they do have Mark Fedorenko, a guy who played mostly defense a year ago. Now they've sort of moved him into the Tyler DiGirolamo role with Ty out. Fedorenko's been playing offense, and you can see the numbers and how effective he's been.
Absolutely. He is a very flexible player. Coach Hogan has been able to put him in different spots all season, and he's thrived in all of them. So his team is going to look to him to be a leader tonight.
The Madison Radicals looking for their 28th consecutive home victory. Scott Riggles has been around for just about all of those wins. 10 goals, 9 assists, 6 Ds on the season. He's tall, he's fast, and he's underappreciated around the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you 2 facts about Scott Riggles, and that would be enough for you to know he's a player to watch. He is 6'7", and he's one of the fastest individuals in the AUDL. But on top of that, he's great at positioning himself downfield to make himself a viable player for any of their handlers.
Scott Riggles will lead the Radicals against the Thunderbirds tonight. It has been 1,119 days since the Radicals last lost at home. It's Fedorenko in Pittsburgh against Riggles and Madison. Opening pull when we come back.
Early recognition is critical. Teaches middle school PE classes about ultimate Frisbee and cancer symptom awareness.
We're a registered nonprofit that advocates for an active, healthy lifestyle, body awareness, and speaking up if something is wrong.
Skills that, when it comes to cancer, can help save a life. Ultimate is a fast-paced team sport that's self-refereed, non-contact, and co-ed.
Spirit of the game is the foundation of Ultimate. That means we communicate respectfully, we're fair-minded, and we enjoy the game.
Ultimate is accessible to everyone. All you need is a Frisbee and some friends. Our team of coaches is made up of experienced and passionate leaders from the Ultimate community.
We teach kids that playing fair is more important than winning.
We can come to your middle school and run your PE classes for the day. And if we're not in your area yet, we'll send you our clinic in a box, where we give you the resources to run your own.
Ultimate Frisbee is one of the fastest growing sports in the world.
Teachers and parents love Ultimate Frisbee.
We are Eric!
And we want to work with you and your school.
The Madison Radicals looking to get to 8-0 on the season, looking to win their 28th consecutive game here at Breeze-Stevens Field. And just across the midway point of the season around the league, it's week 10 in the AUDL, and here's the Midwest playoff picture. The Radicals at 7-0, Atop the Midwest, the Thunderbirds and Winchell, if the season ended today, Pittsburgh would host Minnesota in that wild card playoff game. And you see the teams in the hunt. Indy, Chicago, and Detroit still in the hunt after a couple winless seasons in 2014 and 2015. The Mechanix have 3 victories and are only 2.5 games back of Minnesota with 6 to play. Well, obviously a big story today for Pittsburgh is who is missing. They do not have the injured Tyler DiGirolamo. They do not have Alex Thorne or Patrick Earls. There are several other names that they are missing, but the guys who are going to try to win this game, David Hogan still feels pretty good about the roster he has. He joked with me before, we came to Madison last year, and I look back at that roster, and compared to the roster we have today, it's not even close.
Yeah, there are so many individuals on this team who are very talented and who come from programs where they were the leader. So it really comes down to David Hogan finding exactly where he needs to place all of these players to show them we are a whole, we are a unit. You are going to perform this vital function, and then we're going to take it to the top.
Ethan Beardsley, the big fella, led the league in goals last season. He's number 28 in the middle there. You can expect Isaac Saul to do a lot of handling today, along with Tyler Kunsa. So many Pittsburgh college products, including Aaron Watson on this line as well. And Mark Fedorenko, who we talked about in the open, not a product of Pittsburgh, the university, but he grew up in Pittsburgh, grew up playing high school ultimate with Marcus Renai Dropcho. And here we go, the Radicals defensive line to get things started. Madison's defense has been playing more man-D than ever this year, and they will start out playing zone with, they had an initial double team, looking to double a lot. Kevin Pennant-Scantling is rambling as Watson Shepard makes the catch on the near sideline. Guarded by Pruce. There's Fedorenko's first touch. Looked off David Vatz, who was open for a moment, just barely gets the dump back to Kunsa. Fedorenko, high release. Will it stay in bounds? No, Beardsley with a nice effort for the greatest, but Madison forces the turnover.
Up until that point, Pittsburgh had done a great job of finding all of the open slots and throwing immediately. They really had Madison on their heels. Had Fedorenko taken just a moment longer to execute more cleanly, that would have been a goal.
Andrew Mechanic looking for Frood. Perfect throw. Jay Frood from Kansas City. About a 7.5-hour drive for him. Here's Abe Coffin, who had about a 12-hour drive from Arkansas to get here today. That's dedication. Pruce to Pennant-Scantling on the brink. Back to Pruce. And the game begins with a Radical break.
And that's often the difference between the opposing team and Madison. Madison is crisp and clean to the very last throw.
Well, this Madison D-line puts up some silly offensive numbers. We saw Logan Pruce in his AUDL debut really shine against Chicago. But you could see Andrew Mechanic kind of got that point going with the huck to Frood. And Mechanic's numbers for a defensive player are kind of mind-boggling.
That's a great point, Evan, and it really goes to show just the level of talent. When you have someone like Andrew Mechanic and can afford to put him on the defensive line, that speaks well for the talent across the board.
You see the head coach of the Radicals, Tim DeBile, co-owner of this franchise, and Logan Pruce, one of his 4 rookies this year. One of the things that has made Madison so tough has been the consistency of the roster. 26 of the players in the roster this year returning from past years. 16 of the members of the roster have been on the roster since the very beginning back in 2013 here in Madison.
And across the board, they're older than the Thunderbirds, but it's not like a lot of the Madison players are ready to age out. These are players who are going to be in this stadium on this team for years to come.
That deflected disc handled by Watson fortuitously, and he centers to Fedorenko. Quick reset. Swing it to the near sideline. Joe Marmerstein, who was a star for Case Western Reserve at College Nationals last weekend. Before that, played College Ultimate at Washington University in St. Louis. A rising swing to Fedorenko. Bill Everhart on the mark. Radicals once again playing man defense. One of their top man-to-man defenders, Mike Swain, was declared inactive before the game today. Radicals are also without some notable pieces. Mike Swain and Peter Graffi on the D-line scratched. High throw knocked down in the end zone, and give Abe Coffin credit for the D. The new Radical with his second D as a pro. Just his fourth game in the AUDL. Everhart, marked by Marmerstein. Low throw handled, kept alive by David Buddy Meineke, who is one of the late activations to the roster today. He showed up to Bree Stevens Field not thinking he was playing. He had his tennis shoes on. There's Frood looking long. Weber in the end zone. And it sails too far. Ethan Beardsley there for the D. What's that mindset like? You know, if you've got a game, you're thinking about it all day. You show up thinking you're just a spectator, and then coach says, hey, we need you. Put your cleats on.
You know, in this arena, with the weather being what it is today, that is the thing I would hope for as I was showing up to the stadium.
Timeout called by David Hogan and the Thunderbirds. And he's going to send out a new line of guys here. Pittsburgh, so far, 2 offensive points, and they have not been able to convert. David Hogan himself was a player in college at Pittsburgh. He's been assistant coach for the college team and was one of 4 guys who interviewed to be the head coach of the Thunderbirds a little over a year ago. Was really excited when they gave him this opportunity. Works as a massage therapist. We saw him down at College Nationals last week. Always on the Pittsburgh sideline, there was a massage table, which a couple times I just wanted to go lie on because I've been walking around all weekend long.
You must have been exhausted.
It was hot down there in Raleigh last weekend. It's hot here in Madison this weekend.
It is, but I will take this weather over our last trip here.
Yes. We were here 3 weeks ago on a Friday night, and there weren't this many fans delighting under the sun as there are tonight.
No, not nearly, but there still, of course, were some diehards, which is what we would expect from Madison.
Plenty of fans hanging out on the railings. Bree Stevens Field will be the site of the 5th AUDL Championship weekend in early August. Tickets are on sale now, and I know they've already sold 300 or 400 tickets, which is way ahead of the pace. I don't think tickets were on sale yet for the championship at Avaya Stadium 2 months out last year. So Pittsburgh, with primarily its D-line out there, trying to go the full 80, and in fact basically 90 yards of the field from their own end zone. Anson Repperman, one of the leaders in the league in Ds. Quick touch to Vats, back to Repperman. This is the zone D-line here. Mechanic and Weber. That 2-4-1 zone, and a brilliant blade from the back of the end zone, finding Marcus Thaw downfield. That got Pittsburgh out of trouble.
Absolutely. Those are the throws that are a little dicier.
And there's Jay Frood smacking down that backhand from Eddie Peters.
You know, the blade to Thaw is really the kind of throws you expect to get knocked down from Madison.
Coffin looking long. Meyer in the back of the end zone has it knocked away. David Vats with a D for Pittsburgh. So much better conditions, Megan, but still a kind of similar low-scoring, sluggish start, like the game we had here 3 weeks ago against Chicago.
It certainly is, and you can't blame the weather conditions on that. Both teams are trying very hard to slow the offense of the opposing team.
So with his zone defense, you have Mechanic and Weber, that 2-man double team mark. Really forces those guys to do a ton of running back and forth. But it's that 4-person wall downfield. And they get it past Peters, has already thrown it away once. Wriggles the deep defending. Usually it's Peter Graffi in that spot. But Graffy tweaked his ankle on Thursday. Last weekend against Minnesota, Graffy had his best game as a Radical. He was plus 14, 7 Ds, 3 goals, 4 assists, and no turnovers. And the Radicals fans delighted as Riggles knocks it down. A floating, fluttering deep shot through the end zone. Only goal was at the 10:45 mark. KPS to Logan Pruce. Here's Mechanix. Big flick. Looking for Riggles. He's very tall, and he couldn't make the catch, but Seth Meyer snuck in, cleaned up the trash, and it's Seth Meyer who has the Madison goal.
A surprising outcome when your receiver is 6'7". You really don't expect him to not be able to make not too high of a jump to get that disc. Thankfully, Seth Myers decided to put himself in prime position just in case Scott Riggles was not able to make the grab.
Seth Meyer, they call him the professor. He's a mathematics teacher at St. Norbert College, just outside of Green Bay. We saw him trailing the play here. The mindset of Mechanix when this throw went up was probably, oh, Riggles has it, to oh no, to oh, thank goodness Seth just saved me a turnover.
Yeah, interestingly, you saw Repperman notice who his receiver was. He did a great job of running into position, placed himself just as best as he could against Riggles.
Point took almost 5 minutes off the clock. Back-to-back breaks to begin the game for the Radicals, and there's another turnover. Coolidge providing the pressure on the young Max Shepard. Bruce picks up. Kevin Brown. Here's Brian Hart, former University of Wisconsin captain. Coolidge needs a reset, gets it right back. And here's Bruce. Pettit Scantling. Oh, this has been a precise and methodical march down the field. Madison goes the distance and leads 3-0.
A much faster score from Madison on that point. And with only 5 minutes left on the first quarter, I think it's safe to say that the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds did not come out and do what they were hoping to accomplish this first quarter, which was to get out very, very fast. Not only are they at a 3-point deficit, but the vast majority of the quarter is gone, with them really not finding the offensive cohesion necessary to put up enough against the board to stay even with Madison.
Here you see the sequence down the field. I mean, the stall count barely reached 3 during this quick disc movement. Hart to Coolidge for the goal. And, you know, a week ago, Megan, Minnesota came to Bree Stevens Field riding pretty high, and Madison abruptly went out 6-0 and scored 36 goals. Madison's been scoring more and more. Radicals with 98 goals in their last 3 games.
Wow.
Certainly a team known probably more for their defense. But in those 3 games, the Radicals' defense was pretty good too, allowing 13, 23, and 15. And another quick Thunderbirds turnover. Coffin picks up the assist. It's 4-0. Meineke the goal for the Radicals.
You know, Evan, I think Madison is known for its defense simply because that's the element of their game that's a little flashier, but offensively they are always very smooth. They play incredibly intelligently. They don't often put up high percentage throws, so they're not known for offense mostly because it's not particularly flashy, but it is highly effective.
So put yourself in the mind of Pittsburgh right now. You're fired up for this big game on the road. You're feeling pretty good after winning a couple straight road games 2 weeks ago. And Madison comes out with a Muhammad Ali-esque haymaker across the jaw and knocks you out very quickly. How do you get back up? There's a long way to go here.
Well, if they have something else defensively, now that is the time to put it on the table. They wanted to go hard man against Madison. They thought if we play hard man, we can beat anyone. Right now, it is not slowing down Madison at all. They need to either change up if they're forcing forehand or backhand, perhaps throw in a little bit of middle to try and slow down Madison, because right now they're ahead of all of the Pittsburgh defenders. Like you said, the stall count barely gets on before they're moving it right into the end zone. So I would think they'd need to change things up defensively just to slow Madison a little bit.
A couple throws ago, we saw the first AUDL reception for Carl Morgenstern, member of the University of Pittsburgh team who's been known for his defensive skills through the years. Riggles runs through and just completely takes it away. Pass was intended for Marcus Thaw. You don't think a guy who's that gangly is going to be that fast, and Riggles continues to confound those expectations.
That fast and coordinated.
I'd say Pittsburgh needs a timeout, but they've only got one left in the half. Pettit Scantling makes it 5-0.
It still might be a smart choice for them to call that timeout, to regroup and try and find, okay, we need a slightly different attack. What are we going to do?
3:38 to go in the first quarter. It has been all Madison. Scott Riggles the D, and then for the second time, Bruce finding KPS for the score. Great shot of the Radicals and their fans here at Breese Stevens Field. One of the most enthusiastic fan bases in the league. Right up there with Montreal. Pittsburgh just trying to string 7, 8, 9 completions together. With Riggles lingering back, it's not like you can just take a deep shot and hope for the best, because Madison has that matchup too.
No, but they have been doing a good job of getting some high over-the-top throws to the middle of the field, but then they haven't been doing a great job of maintaining possession of the disc towards the end. They only had 2 or 3 more throws to make it to the end zone, and that's when they've been losing it.
Here's Joe Marmerstein. Shepard centers it. Kunza. Fedorenko. Pittsburgh trying to get on the board here in the opening quarter. And that will work. Fedorenko picks up the assist. Ethan Beardsley pulls in his 30th goal of the season.
And not a moment too soon.
Well, a year ago, that big fella, Ethan Beardsley, caught 69 goals. He led the league. 24 of those were thrown by Tyler DiGirolamo. And Tyler D, a superstar, 2-time champ in his college days, member of the USA national team, but has been plagued by a nagging leg injury that has kept him out all season. And because of that, even though Pittsburgh is 6-2, they haven't looked as explosive as they did last year. And here's the statistical evidence for that, Megan. A year ago, they scored 30 or more goals 6 different times. This year so far, 8 games, only once have they scored more than 30, back in a 31-14 win over Cincinnati.
Yeah, they really do look like a team who just needs 1 or 2 strong leaders to help get over the hump and help bring out everybody's talent.
Pat Schreiwise went out early and landed hard and was shaken up. First O-line opportunity for Schreiwise. He wants to stay out there. Tom Annan on this offensive line, along with Ryan Tucker, Jaden Scullion, Kevin Brown. Colin Camp, Brian Hart coming in for Triwise. Dave Wiseman out there as well for the Radicals, who are without Andrew Brown, who dislocated his finger at practice on Thursday night. Tim DeBile said he could miss a month. They say they need him in 2 months, so they're hoping he'll be ready in 2 months from now. Repperman underneath to Thaw. Wiseman set up the double team, but Thaw with a nice throw through it. This would be a pretty good statement here from Pittsburgh if they could immediately break that Madison offense. Disc kept alive on the far sideline by Peters. Here's Thaw again. Laser beam to the end zone. Caught. Pittsburgh D-line scores as Steve Magilski hauls it in the end zone. Madison scored 5 straight, and then the Thunderbirds responded with a pair.
These are the kind of scores that can really turn around the momentum of the game, and it can also really help elevate a team who's been down 0-5. So Evan, we'll see if the Thunderbirds can take this momentum and remember, okay, we were able to put 2 on the board rather quickly after not scoring for 5 points. Let's keep playing this game and we'll be contenders.
Well, you know, in the AUDL game, 48 minutes, 5-goal deficits can be swung fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's far from a death sentence, especially in the first quarter.
So Madison with a different look to its line this time. Everhart and Coffin will handle. Coolidge comes back to get the disc out there with Mechanix, Preuss, Weber, and there's Frood. Adam Drew's an important member of the handler core on the D-line, also out today. Ethan Beardsley eats up that deep shot.
I'm a little surprised by that put by Mechanix. Frood was not really in position to receive that.
John Diamichis swings it back and around. Morgenstern keeps it alive with a slide. Little cheeky backhand with the left hand to Marmerstein. Pittsburgh showing some spunk here. Fell behind 5-zip. And a frustrating giveaway there. Madison has 15 on the clock. Frood. Timeout called from the Madison sidelines. 7.6 seconds on the stadium clock for Tim DeBile and his team. If only you had a guy who was like 6'7" that you could throw to in this situation.
That would really be perfect, but oh wait, Madison does have someone who's 6'7".
They're taking Matt Weber off the field. Weber is 6'6".
Just not tall enough.
So he's dwarfed by Riggles. Dave Wiseman will be out there though at 6'4". Kevin Brown at 6'1", but he's played bigger than that. Pat Triwise at 6'2", returning to the field as well for the Radicals. Madison last weekend beat Minnesota 36-15. Tim DeBile's team dominated from the very start, and you know, the closest game Madison has played this year was in Pittsburgh back in April. Madison was up most of that game. Pittsburgh scored the last couple of points to make the final score 22-18. And it was also on a pretty dreary, rainy, miserable night for Ultimate. nothing like the picturesque June Saturday we've got tonight.
You know, we've talked about this before, Evan, but I do think it's important to note that that's going to serve against Madison come championship weekend if they make it.
Annan threw it up. It's hanging, it's tipped, and it's smacked down. Oh, Madison's Colin Camp looked like he had it in his grasp. About as good of a throw as you can expect in that situation. Just give your team a chance. And you saw the defender fall down. Maybe Camp got away with a push before it was spiked to the ground by, I believe, reprimand. "5-2 is the score after one here in Madison.
Imagine you're in a new town for a couple of days, and you find yourself wanting a bike. Use Spin Lister to rent any kind of bike in your area in over 55 countries. Have an unforgettable adventure while saving up to 40% on rentals. And whatever you do, don't forget to enjoy your ride. Rent a bike today or list your own to start making money and connecting with awesome people.
Nice shot of Bree Stevens Field. Expect this place to be rocking in early August for championship weekend. If you haven't heard about the AUDL Fantasy Experience, if you're coming into town for championship weekend, Friday night, an incredible opportunity to train, play, and eat with some of your favorite AUDL stars. And also, Megan may not even realize this, but we're going to do a broadcast of the AUDL Fantasy Experience game, and fans can basically play in an ESPN3 game with the great Megan Tormey on the call.
Everybody's dream come true, no doubt.
I don't know if we've cleared this with your agent, but I hope that out of the goodness of your heart, you'll be willing to experience
I am so in.
this AUDL fantasy opportunity.
Can't pass up an opportunity like that.
A few days ago, the weather for all week here in Madison has been beautiful, but Tim DeBile looked at the schedule and saw from about 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock on Saturday night about a 75% chance of dangerous thunderstorms. And when you see that, you know, you just grit your teeth and hope for the best. This is the best.
This is absolutely the best. As I was driving in today, I kept thinking the storm clouds are bound to roll in at some point, and they just never did.
So far, so good. Pat Hammonds will pull. He's been a nice addition to the Thunderbirds this year. You see from around the AUDL, DC with a first half lead on Toronto. There are 3 different games in the AUDL this weekend featuring first place versus second place. Here in Madison, down in DC, and then tomorrow, San Francisco FlameThrowers will be out at Seattle. Really tough weekends for first place teams like Toronto, at DC and at New York, and also San Francisco at Vancouver tonight, at Seattle tomorrow. Makes you wish you could hyperloop from one game to the next.
The other, absolutely.
Teleportation, unfortunately, hasn't come our way yet either. So Morgenstern on the mark, and Wiseman lets it rip, making Hart who let it rip, and it sails incomplete. The whistle came, and perhaps there was a foul on the mark. And it looks like Hart is waving it off via the integrity rule. Yep, Brian Hart said no foul. Carl Morgenstern, who was appalled by the whistle in his welcome to the AUDL moment, gets to experience a nice dose of spirit in his first AUDL game. And a huge rip, and that's gonna get there. Mogilski downfield, resets. Reprimand. Thaw, marked by Camp. Hanson reprimand, swings it. Near side of the field, Peters. Repperman found a lane to the end zone. That's 3 breaks in a row. The Thunderbirds, with their 3rd straight score, their 2nd straight break, it's 5-3.
Yeah, Pittsburgh looking a little more confident and executing a little more intelligently is making a big difference in the score.
Basically an unforced turnover as Hart and Riggles could not connect. And the goal paid off by Marcus Thaw. Penn State product, former All-Region in the Ohio Valley. Thaw had a huge D in that Minnesota game. When the wind chill were looking to tie, he basically saved the game in the 4th quarter with a huge D on a swing. A throw that, if was completed, wind chill would have had an easy lane to the end zone. Megan, we have not seen Madison's offensive line score yet in this game. Madison opened with 5 consecutive breaks. Since then, we saw Pittsburgh hold, Pittsburgh breaking, and then Madison couldn't score on the O point at the end of the quarter, could not score on the O point to start the 2nd. That disc hangs up and somehow finds the target. Or was it the target? The bearded giant, Matt Weber, showing his versatility, cleaning up the trash for the score. That is not how that play was scripted.
No, absolutely not. It reminds me of the play earlier where Meyer cleaned up the trash that was supposed to go to Riggle. Madison showing how important it is to follow the disc, even if you're sure your teammate has it in the end zone.
Tough break there. You saw Beardsley go up for it, kind of knock the other defender out of the way. Matt Weber really made a name for himself in the AUDL. A great example of a big athlete sort of coming out of nowhere, and an innovative coach like Tim DeBile figuring out how we can use his unique skills to our advantage.
And Weber has been getting better every single season. I think most markedly after his first season. He decided he wanted to train more intensely for Ultimate, became a much more explosive player, and his stats really show that. He has been putting up more Ds on the board with each consecutive season.
Oh, David Vatz had it and lost it, and it's ruled incomplete. When we get a chance, we'll take another look at that one. It's hard to tell if Vatz had secured possession or not when Mechanix knocked it away. The Radicals break train, cruise again. Low throw, what a catch from Frood. Oh, Jay Frood, not typically the type of play you'd see in a top 10 highlight reel, but that was a really difficult catch.
Beautiful.
Another layout grab from Mechanix. He's made his fair share of top plays through his AUDL career. Coffin, cross field, beautiful. Meyer. Stall count rising, but KPS emerged. It was after the stall. The trailing referee blew the whistle right as KPS was making the catch. It's a turnover going back to Pittsburgh. Fedorenko giving chase. He's in. A majestic shot to the end zone, and Pittsburgh is back within 2. Mark Fedorenko was a D-line player last year, moved to the O-line this year, and it has paid off. Max Shepard, the 20-year-old, currently plays at Edinburgh, showing his forehand is not to be stifled with.
Putting it out far enough that Fedorenko had to give considerable chase to get that disc, but he was all alone in the end zone when he caught it. He's 6'3", 190 pounds, but moves like an individual, much lither.
And David Hogan was talking about how he likes having big cutters downfield, whether it's Tyler DiGirolamo or Marcus Renai Dropcho. Now Mark Fedorenko, kind of that big initiation cutter who you can almost throw open because of his size. And that's a careless mistake on the restart. As Kevin Brown and Brian Hart miscommunicate. Pittsburgh could be back within one right here. Saul to the end zone for the score. The Thunderbirds on a 5-1 run to get right back in this, and we still got tons of time in the second quarter. That was a 10-second break for Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh has to be fired up right now. This is the kind of performance they really wanted to exhibit from the start, and they brought it out in enough time to make this a tight game.
This is just as easy as it gets here. Isaac Saul picking up, and Repperman using his speed. Like Riggles fell asleep for a moment. Anson Repperman is another guy who's made a name for himself in this league. Started playing ultimate, playing pickup around 8th grade. Last year he basically started as a number 2 D-line guy, and by the end of the year he was one of their top D-line players. 24 Ds in 8 games so far this year. Here's Mechanix for Weber. Repperman closing the space. Anson Repperman with another huge D for Pittsburgh. A chance for Anson to show why he's one of the league's top one-on-one defenders.
Yeah, that play was set up from the start. You saw Matt Weber set it up beautifully, but Repperman, recognizing instantly that the big throw was going off, put himself into position. As soon as the disc went up, Weber didn't have a chance.
Morgenstern swings it. Repperman launches. This is for the tie. Oh, and off the hands of Peters in the end zone. KPS there providing the pressure, but that had to be caught.
That was Frood.
Beg your pardon, you saw all the hair. Frood providing the pressure, but a drop from the Thunderbirds that could have tied it up. Coolidge was breaking deep. That throw hanging up there, and it's knocked away. John Diamichis back defending.
The Thunderbirds are fiercely defending that end zone.
Some of these decisions are a little un-Radical-like.
I absolutely agree. They're jump balls that are going up, and Pittsburgh is quickly and easily getting the position.
Repperman with an unfortunate drop. Frood to space, Mechanix bids. Throw is a little too far. And Mechanix slow to get up. Kevin Brown will replace Mechanix, and Max Shepard trying to get into the game, replacing Repperman. It's a long point right here. Morgenstern looked like he was ready to take a sub and realized that Repperman was coming off. The sideline was like, "You got this, Carl." His first AUDL game, experiencing the bigger field. Oh, and perhaps a fatigue giveaway there. Frood to the end zone. Everhart. 7-5 Madison. A big missed opportunity on this point as Peters had his hands on the disc in the end zone to tie, could not haul it in.
You know, I feel like both teams really had a lot of missed opportunities at that point. That one could have gone either way.
So Madison, midway through the second quarter, back up by 2. Radicals have only lost once here at Breese Stevens Field. That was back on May 12th, 2013, a 16-15 low-scoring battle with the Windy City Wildfire. That could be contact, and indeed it was. Kevin Pettit-Scantling tried to give Mark Fedorenko a piggyback ride.
Or rather tried to ask for one.
Yes, he well.
Tried to force one.
Oh, and a low throw. Watson could not keep it alive. Nothing he could do there, and Cruz again to pick up. Hart to Brown. Kevin, the younger of the Brown brothers. His elder brother Andrew has played all around the world, has long been considered one of the great throwers in the game, but Kevin Brown's skills have been developing to the point where his teammates consider him one of their best players, one of their leaders, that turnover notwithstanding. But we've seen Kevin Brown and Brian Hart and Andrew Mechanix make mistakes early in this game that are uncharacteristic, and that was a gorgeous deep ball there. Max Shepard again breaking free, his first goal. Pittsburgh back within 1.
Yeah, I have to say, since the start of the second quarter, Madison has played a little bit unnerved, which is surprising from them.
If you just joined us, Madison led this game 5-0 with 3:38 to go in the first quarter. But behind the youth movement of Max Shepard, along with the defense of Repperman and Thaw and Mogilski, Pittsburgh has fought back. Pat Hammonds to pull. He was a teammate of David Hogan's in college, baseball player in high school. Tom Annan immediately double teamed. Scoobers to Scullion. Crossfield, Riggles has plenty of time. Nice look from Hart. The fans were yelling to shoot it to the end zone. Madison took its time and finally hit Try-Wise.
Little intelligent give-go between Riggles and Try-Wise. They make it fairly easily right into the end zone.
A lot of size and a lot of experience right there with that duo. Scott Riggles, University of Wisconsin Whitewater, 2006. His graduation year, grew up in the Madison area. And that zone defense really didn't impede Madison all that much. That hammer was wide open.
Yeah, that's true. They took a moment to see what was in front of them, but really, ultimately, they took whatever shot they wanted.
Riggles missed championship weekend last year because of the birth of his newborn son. Excited to have an opportunity to play in the Final Four this year here in Madison. If the Radicals can get to championship weekend, they will be putting a 31 home winning streak on the line. That's assuming they don't lose between now and then. The streak would be at 31 heading into a semifinal game against, I don't know, a team like Toronto or Dallas or San Francisco. Of course, the Radicals still thinking about getting the top overall seed in the AUDL. We'll explain how that might work out when we come back, but Pittsburgh has taken a timeout, so we'll take it too. Late in the second quarter, 3:45 to play. Madison leads by 2. Thunderbirds with possession when we get back.
No matter why you're on the road, travelers all want the same thing. Great service, a clean, comfortable room, and a price that saves you more for what you travel for. And that's how we've always done things at Motel 6. Now we're renovating our locations nationwide with a fresh, modern look, still for the lowest price of any national chain. So you'll see us in a whole new light. I guess the more things change, a great deal stays the same. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Pittsburgh coach David Hogan barking the timeout order from his sidelines. Another opportunity to close the gap to within 1 after trailing at the outset 5-zip. Welcome back to Breeze Stevens Field in Madison, everybody. 3:45 to go here in the second quarter. Evan Lepler with Megan Tormey. Scott Riggles had the assist for Madison on their last score. Good matchup downfield with Riggles marking Fedorenko. Heading into the action today, Madison was 7-0 with a +79 goal differential. The Dallas Roughnecks 9-0 with a +99 goal differential. In order to determine seeding for the AUDL Final Four, the regular season records are taken into account, and then it could go to goal differential. So if Madison and Dallas both go undefeated, that goal differential becomes very important as Pittsburgh works it into David Vatt's 1 goal a game here. Pretty efficient offense out of the timeout.
Yep, whatever David Hogan spoke to them about during the timeout certainly worked.
David Vatt's one of the leading goal scorers. He's got 27 in 7 games entering tonight. University of Pittsburgh product. He's helped to coach the Pittsburgh men's team in past years. And here comes the pull from Hammonds. After the way Pittsburgh started this game, it's hard to imagine that they're able to tie this in striking distance of doing so in the first half.
Yeah, they have definitely picked up their game, but I think Madison has also stumbled a little bit, and Pittsburgh has intelligently capitalized on those opportunities.
Hick called downfield, a little clogging. So Brown retreats 10 yards. And that's a stall called on Kevin Brown. Isaac Saul was on the mark, pumping his fist. And great downfield defense from Carl Morgenstern and Cody Mills. Diamichis turns it over. Schreiwise and Hart play catch. Quick little lefty backhand for Annan. Schreiwise looking long. That's a gorgeous throw.
Absolutely beautiful put to Kevin Brown, who is nice and wide open. You saw Schreiwise looking very calm as he recognized how open Brown was, put the perfect amount of touch on it, an easy score for Madison.
Well, Megan, this is the second time that Pittsburgh has had possession with a chance to tie. Down 6-5. Peters had the drop in the end zone, and here the over-aggressive swing, a little too much. Madison capitalizes to stay on top.
Right, you can certainly look at definitive points where Pittsburgh made a critical error that changed the nature of the game. And of course, if it continues this way, Coach Hogan will have a lot of different points to look at to try and tweak to make sure the next time they have a game like this one, they don't make those same critical errors.
2 minutes and change remaining in the first half. Nice job to keep that possession alive. As Marmerstein Here's Shepard. Stall count rising, and he didn't even get the hammer off. It's caught by Fedorenko, but it doesn't matter. You talk to players in this league, and they all say the silence of the stall count is what gets you.
Yeah, I can't imagine how difficult that is, especially if you catch the disc and you're looking downfield and then realize that the stall is on. You think, was that 2 seconds? Was that 3 seconds? Of course, that's a very important answer to know.
Coffin for Bruce. Right back to Abe Coffin. Former Team USA U23 gold medalist uncorks a majestic backhand. And that's a Radicals goal. Meyer has been a target deep several times tonight.
Both Frude and Meyer were in good position. It seems like they could have had a conversation to say, who wants this stat more?
And there were really two Radicals in the vicinity, and good communication without a lot of space to work with back near that goal post, which, by the way, the goalposts will be removed from Breese-Stevens Field for championship weekend. Coffin picks up another assist. Just his 4th AUDL game out of the University of Arkansas. Pittsburgh has certainly stabilized its performance after a really lopsided start. The question is, can they keep it up against the Radicals in their depth? Pittsburgh only has 18 healthy players here tonight. Woke up early this morning, bus left around 5:30 a.m. from Pittsburgh. Seconds for the Thunderbirds. Aaron Watson resets around for Kunsa. Marmerstein gains some key yardage. Watson to the end zone. Vats. A sigh of relief from Aaron Watson after that throw went up and was right on the money to make it a 2-score game again. 11 seconds remaining in the first half. Nice release there from Watson, very calm and in control. So a couple goals in the first half for Vats. Madison sending Riggles and Weber and Camp deep. Scullion gets it off. It's not going to get to the end zone. And the first half ends with another Anson reprimand D. Madison has a 2-score lead at the break, but the Radicals probably feel it should be a wider gap because Madison jumped out 5-0 in this game, and then Pittsburgh closed the half on an 8-5 run to get back within 2. The Radicals at 7-0, trying to stay undefeated alongside Dallas and San Francisco. 3 of the 26 teams in the league are still perfect. Madison's up by 2 at the half, and Megan Tormey is down in the field, as you can see, with a very tall Scott Riggles.
Thanks, Evan. Scott, you guys had a sizable margin at the beginning, and then it started to narrow. What happened on the field that gave Pittsburgh the advantage to catch up?
I think we were just trying to put too much stuff deep, and we weren't really reading the disc all that well. The wind is kind of playing havoc with it a little bit, and we just need to kind of calm down and play our game, and we'll take it from there.
All right, what are you guys looking to do in the second half to expand your lead on Pittsburgh?
Just keep playing hard defense. We're definitely getting our opportunities, and just kind of slow things down and move the disc instead of just kind of taking every single shot we see. So I think it'll work.
Excellent, and I know it's hard to think about games in the future when you have this one you're playing right in front of you, but when you guys are dealing with a deficit that's decreasing or a deficit that's increasing, who are you going to look to kind of pick your team back up?
Just everybody. I think we all just have to calm down. Guys out there are going to make plays. Mechanix going to get his points. Jay's going to get his Ds. We'll look to see guys will make plays, and everybody's out there to make a play, and so eventually somebody's going to do something, and we just got to calm down and then put the disc in the end zone.
All right, well, thanks for taking a moment. Go be with your team. Good
Thanks
luck.
a lot.
Back to you, Evan.
Megan, Scott, thank you very much. A big first half for Radicals on the stat sheet, but it could be a much bigger lead for the hometown fans here at Breese Stevens Field. At the half, the score Madison 10 and Pittsburgh 8. We'll be back to Breese Stevens in just a moment.
Imagine you're in a new town for a couple of days and you find yourself wanting a bike. Use Spin Lister to rent any kind of bike in your area in over 55 countries. Have an unforgettable adventure while saving up to 40% on rentals. And whatever you do, don't forget to enjoy your ride. Rent a bike today or list your own to start making money and connecting with awesome people.
Great crowd here on a Saturday night in Madison. The Radicals lead 10-8 at the half. And to show you what this game means in the Midwest standings, obviously the Radicals trying to stay undefeated. Pittsburgh, if they can't finish this job, would fall into a tie for third with Minnesota. Now, Pittsburgh already beat Minnesota, but Indianapolis is a team that has a win over Pittsburgh already. So the AlleyCats lingering just outside the playoff race at the moment. Chicago and Detroit both need wins and a lot of help. Number 2 hosts number 3, and the winner of that will play the regular season champ for the right to play here in August at championship weekend. Well, week 9 was one to remember in the AUDL. Several great games from around the league. You had a buzzer beater in Seattle, a 1-point game that we saw in Raleigh with the Cannons and the Flyers. It was hard to decide which were the 10 best plays of the week, but our crew did it. So here's the top 10 plays from week 9 in the AUDL.
Again, just so easy for Minnesota to reset that stall count. Try-wise, looks like he had a nice read on the div. Gets beat in the end zone anyway.
Mitchell broke free. Nethercutt found him. Terrence Mitchell climbs the ladder. Mitchell shows off the hops for the goal that gives Raleigh a 4-score lead.
He is having a game, folks.
and over the top. Hunter Taylor.
It's hard not to root for Hunter Taylor in that situation.
Go. Dallas.
So it's good to see that integration. Ooh, he was able to get up. Archie. Right on Archie ball. That's what I'm saying. Oh, they go quick. Quick throw to Sean Sears. And it gets blocked. He was running out of steam. You could see that he was slowing down.
Imagine you're in a new town for a couple of days and you find yourself wanting a bike. Use Spin Lister to rent any kind of bike in your area in over 55 countries. Have an unforgettable adventure while saving up to 40% on rentals. And whatever you do, don't forget to enjoy your ride. Rent a bike today or list your own to start making money and connecting with awesome people.
week of draw-dropping highlights in the AUDL. We're at halftime in Madison. The Radicals lead the Thunderbirds 10-8. And for the Pittsburgh second half game plan, Megan Tormey down on the field with Mark Fedorenko.
Thanks so much, Evan. Mark, you guys came out really slow. It was 0-5, and then something happened. You guys changed. What was the difference for you?
I think it was really important for us to get our D-line on the field. We were, like you said, we started out pretty slow as an O-line, making some general mistakes. But once we were able to consistently get our D-line out on the field for a point or two in a row, they started sitting on the underneaths and letting them huck. And as you can see, we're going to run down and run past as many of them as we can. So we like it when teams huck against us.
Well, you guys came very close to tying the game, but a few errors cost you that point. What adjustments are you going to make to even the score and potentially take it away?
I mean, it's the simple things. It's getting our D-line back on the field, forcing them to huck as an O-line, playing a little bit more conservative, and keeping the disc away from the sidelines. Their double team trap is very strong. We've gotten stalled out once or twice because of it when we abandon a cutter with 40 yards and nobody around him for 4 seconds. So we're going to try to keep the disc off the sidelines and get that guy an option.
And you guys threw a zone against Madison. That was a new look that we've seen from you. Do you have any other defensive strategies that you're going to put up against Madison tonight?
That's honestly not up to me. We definitely have a lot of things that we practice and would like to throw out, but that's all on Coach Hogan. And he'll determine the flow of the game, whether we want to speed up the pace or slow it down, or that's what we do with our defense, is we try to control the pace of the game. So it'll be up to him.
Now, your performance has definitely ebbed and flowed over the season so far. What are your goals from here to the end of your season?
Realistically, we're not looking that far ahead. Our goal is this game alone, each point at a time. We'd like to win out. That's a huge goal, but right now it's this game, and we'll address it with our any changes to rosters we have coming over the rest of the season. I know we have a lot of guys missing, some guys hurt, and we'll be figuring out what roster we're going to be taking into playoffs over the rest of the season.
Well, good luck to you in this game and moving forward. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you, Megan.
Back to you, Evan.
Megan and Mark, thank you. Interesting talk from one of the leaders of the Thunderbirds. We want them to throw it deep on us. Well, the first quarter was won 5-2 by the Radicals. Second quarter was won 6-5 by the Thunderbirds. Madison will begin this third quarter on defense with Coffin, Coolidge, Pettit-Scantling, Pruce, Mechanix, Frood, and Meyer. Madison, 24 minutes away from its 28th consecutive win here at Breese-Stevens Field, the oldest playing field in the city of Madison. The land that we're standing on was purchased by the city in 1923. The brick grandstand was built in 1925. They added the new press box in 2011 and the new turf in 2014. Who is Breese Stevens? Breese J. Stevens was the mayor of Madison in 1984. Later became the University of Wisconsin Regent in 1891. 1884. I don't know if I said 1984 or not.
You did. That's a little bit of a
I was
difference.
100 years late with that. Nice catch by Watson, dodging the defense of Coffin. See if Pittsburgh can take advantage of an offensive point to start a quarter. Shepard. Frood bidding for the fake. There's Marmerstein. Downfield, Fedorenko. Takes his time, and Shepard could not hang on in the end zone.
Oh, for a split second, I thought he had that.
For a split second, everybody did. Oh, I think Marmerstein may have got a piece of that disc. Or was it Vats? Pittsburgh is in. Watson from Kunsa. Pittsburgh connection gets the Thunderbirds within one. Well, this has not been a very characteristic Madison performance since that 5-0 start. And you talked to Scott Riggles, and he talked about taking some unnecessary deep shots, but just the overall body language of this team.
Yeah, I have to agree. Those are the obvious mistakes that they made, the 2 or 3 deep looks that were easily D'd by Pittsburgh. But all the same, we're seeing just a flatter play from Madison across the board.
Hammonds to pull. We got ourselves a 1-goal game here in the third quarter. If Pittsburgh could knock Madison off today, they'd be within a game in the standings. In the loss column, Wiseman looking long. Knocked away by Vats. Make it Pat Hammonds. My mistake, 41, not number 4, Hammonds. A great D on the deep shot.
You know, some of the other throws from Madison that have been D'd by Pittsburgh, I would say, were just poorly executed. I thought that was a great throw by Wiseman, but Hammonds did an excellent job of outplaying Madison.
This could be a Callahan, but Riggles could not read it perfectly. It floated all the way to the intended target. Isaac Saul thought about the deep ball. Now Peters, outside in backhand. Reprimand. Morgenstern was poached. He'll run it down, marked by the bigger Wiseman. If Pittsburgh could punch this in, it would be our first tie of the night. And with the stall count rising, David Hogan called timeout from the sidelines. We'll take it to 10-9 Madison. Early in the third, the Thunderbirds knocking on the door.
Imagine you're in a new town for a couple of days and you find yourself wanting a bike. Use Spin Lister to rent any kind of bike in your area in over 55 countries. Have an unforgettable adventure while saving up to 40% on rentals. And whatever you do, don't forget to enjoy your ride. Rent a bike today or list your own to start making money and connecting with awesome people.
Tim DeBio looking on from the Madison sideline. A gorgeous day in Madison. It would have been a perfect day to rent a bicycle, frankly. And I actually thought of that this afternoon. I said, I kind of wish I had a bike. And then I realized I could have just gone to Spin Lister. But by the time I realized that, I had to, shower and dress and get ready for the game.
Well, that's a shame because I'm pretty sure that every resident of Madison is required to own a bicycle, so you undoubtedly would have had many to choose from.
Maybe they were all using them today and I would have been left out. It was a perfect day here in the capital city of Wisconsin. Out of the timeout, Pittsburgh's Tyler Kuntza looking into the double team of Mechanix and Weber. Gets a quick reset from Marmerstein. Trapped on the sideline, not where you want to be. Crossfield hammer, retreating Fedorenko. Watson. Oh, just barely snuck that backhand through. Several times tonight, Pittsburgh has had chances to tie. At 6-5, they had a chance. At 8-7, they had a chance. Here we are at 10-9, early in the third. Fedorenko's Scuba finds Watson. Back to the fore side, Marmerstein. Pressure from the wing, Meyer delayed the throw. This is how you can tire out that two-man mark. Mechanix and Weber. Kuntza again trapped on the sideline. Hammer back, did he overthrow it? He did. That's why Madison keeps throwing that zone out there.
Yeah, you can tire out that two-person cup, but of course when you're trapped on the sideline, you're forced to throw some really dicey throws. So it's worth it for Mechanix and Weber to put forth that extra effort.
Everhart for Mechanix. Up high, run down Everhart. Meyer, wide open Weber. Big turnaround as the Radicals score to go back up by 2. Man, this defense can just wear you down.
It certainly can. And I think that throw notwithstanding, they really have been forcing the errors on themselves. Even though Mechanix and Weber are doing a great job of putting on that cup that is terrifying to look against, they have been getting it through the cup repeatedly. But then they just make an unforced error or a careless move, and that costs them that possession.
Seth Meyer, since the very start tonight, has been involved. He's a key wing on this defensive line. There's Jay Frood. Deep floaty pull, caught by Kunze. And here's Isaac Saul. Beardsley. Kunze marked by Meyer. Man-to-man D this time. Bruce chasing Saul. We have Coffin running after Marmerstein. Upfield Shepard. Long flick. Vats being chased by Coolidge. That was a dime of a throw. Perfect shot for Pittsburgh.
And now Pittsburgh finds themselves back within 1 yet again. Evan, I think the pressure gets to them at this point because there's a huge difference mentally between being down by 1 and being tied. Being tied, it's like a fresh start. It's like 0-0. It's a much safer place to be mentally. And I think the thought of them getting to that point is wearing on them.
Great throw there from Shepard. David Hogan was very excited to put this 20-year-old on their offensive line tonight, basically stepping into Alex Thorne's spot. Max Shepard grew up playing Youth Ultimate with Pat Earls, and Hogan said he was really excited to see exactly how good Shepard could be with throwers on the O-line, and he looks like an O-line thrower too. Crossing midfield already, looking for Camp, breaking free. Colin Camp, one of the quickest scorers of the game for either team. Camp's been quiet tonight, but we know that he can score goals in bunches. Good shot from Wiseman. Colin Camp, another University of Wisconsin product, and there is Kyle Weigand, who showed up at Radicals tryouts, their overnight tryouts, basically from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. It's the only time they can get field space in the winter here in Madison. Weigand played college ultimate at University of Arizona, new to the Madison area, and he showed up and just completely was off the charts with his measurables, his high jump, his 40-yard, and Frood's gonna get called for a foul there for holding onto the disc when Shepard got it first. Pittsburgh at midfield. Nice throw from Shepard. Watson to Kunze. Marmerstein. And again, Shepard. Double teamed. Shepard throws a hanging hammer. In the end zone, it's Weber knocking it down for Madison.
tricky read for Weber. He did a great job of staying in as optimal position as possible to make that D.
Weber was a newcomer to the Madison Ultimate scene a few years ago from Dubuque, Iowa. He's become a mainstay of this franchise. Weber and Frood play catch. Weber thought about launching to Coolidge, but he found a handler. Oh, Bruce connecting with Everhart, who shook free of Kunsa. Ethan Beardsley in the end zone lays out for the D. Pittsburgh has 80 yards to go to get back within 1. Shepard took off. Mac Shepard all the way. He has owned the last couple of points for Pittsburgh.
He is a fast, young athlete. No wonder Coach Hogan was excited to have him on the squad. We saw how quickly he recognized the turn was happening and set up that play, which gave him the immense separation between him and the closest Madison defender.
David Hogan calls him a super energy player. You can see why. Relentless speed from Shepard. How many times is Pittsburgh going to get close to the top of the mountain without touching the peak?
We will see. We will see.
Hammonds launches the pull. Scullion to Wiseman. And now Tom N, an animal they call him. Gotta give some credit to Pittsburgh's downfield defenders here. Madison's handlers are taking looks and not finding openings. Finally, it's Wiseman breaking free of Saul. Try-wise to Riggles.
That's a great point, Evan. They've been effective, obviously, in those long balls, but they've also done a great job of shutting down opportunities, which is a more nuanced form of defense.
To the end zone for Camp. Last 2 0 points for Madison have both ended the same way, with a shot to Colin Camp in the end zone. First it was from Wiseman, and this time from Kevin Brown. Colin Camp in his second year with the Radicals. His older sister played on the high school team and suggested that Colin give Ultimate a try when he stopped playing baseball. He had a couple friends on the high school team, tried out, fell in love with the sport. (13-11) Madison. Watson fortunate to be on the field. A couple weeks ago against Chicago, he had a guy lay out into his side, and Watson has had hip surgery a few years ago. Pittsburgh turns it over. Logan Bruce with the pressure. Watson fortunately was okay. Spent a couple of days on crutches, but practiced this past Wednesday and deemed himself good to go tonight. Frood gains yards to Mechanix. He didn't have a clear lane to Myers, so he looked him off. There's a rising backhand. Frood to Bruce. Pretty stuff right there. And Madison stretches the lead back to 3.
Mechanix intelligently holstered that earlier throw, waiting for the more open shot. Frood making it amazing, almost doing the splits to make that backhand throw.
Did that go through Watson's legs? We got to see this again. It looked like Watson was lunging for the foot block. Watch Watson's feet. That went right under his left leg. And Watson's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
It's the largest lead of the second half for the Radicals after that break. Reprimand from Armerstein. Back to Reprimand. Pittsburgh, a long bus ride, traveled shorthanded, but they're still in the game here in the third quarter. And contact called on Weigand, bumping into Kunsa. Kunsa, hammer, that'll work. Reprimand the score. Pittsburgh just won't go away. David Hogan was looking at this as an opportunity to get some of his younger players experience, and you know, they don't have any of the high-profile signees from the offseason, James Highsmith, Johnny Bansfield, Mitch Scion, Austin Engel, Mike Ogren. That core of guys largely from the Michigan area, not with Madison right now. They don't have Alex or Max Thorne. They don't have Pat Earls. Obviously no Tyler DiGirolamo. I mean, all those guys we named could be pretty competitive against a team like Madison just by themselves.
Excellent point, and when you're in a game that's as close as this one has become, those are the kinds of players who can really create the separation necessary to bring about a win for your team. But I think Coach Hogan is looking at this appropriately. He absolutely needs to develop the lower end of his roster if he wants to long-term have a shot at beating this Madison
what a
squad.
catch by Tom Annan, laying out, swinging that right arm around. Scully into Hart for the goal. Tom Annan's layout, the highlight of the play.
Annan always looks like such a calm, collected player to me, but he has the explosivity to make plays like that. He's dynamic, he's super fun to watch, even though most of the time he looks very relaxed as he's playing this game.
Annan was playing Ultimate as a 5th grader with his brother when his older brother was in high school. The very first Madison Radical to sign a contract with the pro team was Tom Annan. A leader in the Madison Ultimate community. The head coach and owner, Tim DeBile, knew that if he could get Tom Annan to sign, others would follow. Strategy proved to be a winning one. These are critical offensive points for Pittsburgh. Can't afford to get broken again. Armerstein for Watson. Tumbles to make the catch. One quick look downfield and then the reset. Hammonds. Kunsa. Looking to the end zone. Watson makes the play. Narrowly evading the lunge of Frood.
Kunsa only had a split second to make that throw. He executed perfectly and just in time.
Aaron Watson having a strong game for Pittsburgh tonight. He was an assistant coach for the University of Pittsburgh team that lost on Universe Point in the semifinals to Minnesota, the eventual champ last week in Raleigh. Aaron Watson, also the video mastermind of the Trent Dillon for Callahan campaign in the college ranks. And in part, Aaron Watson deserves credit for Dillon's victory in the Callahan race. We might see Trent Dillon in a Seattle Cascades uniform before the season is over. Nothing official on that, but Trent is on his way to Seattle and seems not all that far-fetched, does it?
Seattle has been interesting to watch in the additions they've made throughout the season. They continue to be...
Seems like everyone's moving to Seattle. Right. It's Simon Montague, Hussein Carnegie, Ben Snell joined the team. Ooh, juggling, Scullion hangs on. Seattle also added Gabe Fruchter, former University of Oregon target. Annan threads the needle. Scullion hangs on once again. Again, Pittsburgh's playing hard here, defensively in the end zone. Riggles up the line. Couldn't get free. Flip it up. Annan makes the catch. Brian Hart knew that internal clock was ticking. He got rid of it just in time, and Tom Annan made the play.
You have to think that going through his head was, I need to get rid of it. I'm sure Annan can get this.
Doesn't take much room. Aaron Buss, 19-year-old former Pennsylvania state champ, very close to Annan that whole point. It's a good matchup. Aaron Buss, who's gotten a ton of credit from the veterans on this Pittsburgh team for his growth as a player. He's called one of the best upwind huckers, so when they play games in the wind against Chicago and Minnesota, some of Buss's throws were difference makers, but again, Brian Hart just continues to be a soft-spoken pillar for the Radicals team. Final seconds of the quarter. Marmerstein's throw will get to the end zone, and Riggles slapped it away. Oh, big turning point there. Riggles preserving Madison's 3-score lead as we take the turn for home.
In a sea of hands, you saw Riggles rise up above all the others to bat that away.
Tim DeBile's Madison Radicals up by 3 at 16-13 as we head to the fourth on ESPN3.
Early recognition is critical. Teaches middle school PE classes about ultimate Frisbee and cancer symptom awareness.
We're a registered nonprofit that advocates for an active, healthy lifestyle, body awareness, and speaking up if something is wrong.
Skills that when it comes to cancer can help save a life. Ultimate is a fast-paced team sport that's self-refereed, non-contact, and co-ed.
Spirit of the game is the foundation of Ultimate. That means we communicate respectfully, we're fair-minded, and we enjoy the game.
Ultimate is accessible to everyone. All you need is a Frisbee and some friends. Our team of coaches is made up of experienced and passionate leaders from the Ultimate community.
We teach kids that playing fair is more important than winning.
We can come to your middle school and run your PE classes for the day. And if we're not in your area yet, we'll send you our clinic in a box, where we give you the resources to run your own.
Ultimate Frisbee is one of the fastest growing sports in the world.
Teachers and parents love Ultimate Frisbee.
We are Eric!
And we want to work with you and your school.
Madison Radicals leading by 3. Another great crowd here at Breese Stevens Field, enjoying the short interlude, and we're getting ready for the fourth quarter. Quick note from around the league, the DC Breeze are currently ahead of the Toronto Rush 23-19 midway through the fourth quarter. The Rush have come back against the Breeze before, but if they can't fight their way back tonight, it'll be the first time ever that Toronto will have lost to a team based in the United States in the regular season. See some highlights from this third quarter, Megan Tormey. Both teams making plays, throwing their bodies around. What, in your opinion, is going to be the key in these final 12 minutes?
Well, I think it's essential for Madison to continue to push offensively. We've seen them slow down just a little bit. We've seen them made some uncharacteristic or silly throws downfield, and they're going to have to limit those entirely. They have a clear enough margin, but Pittsburgh has shown that they can fight back and close that gap. For Pittsburgh, the key is going to be when they get it close to the end zone, they have to play better in the red zone. They just have to play better because they've maintained 1-point deficit, but have never been able to tie it up this game.
They had several chances to tie it up. A drop in the end zone that could have made it 6-6. They were stalled out near the goal line in another situation when they were looking to tie. Radicals on offense to begin the fourth and looking long. Colin Camp broke free. That was too easy. It only took 11 seconds, and the Radicals stretched the lead to 4. Dave Wiseman, a very capable thrower. So Colin Camp, 3 goals here in the second half. You know, it felt early in this game, Madison jumping out to the 5-0 lead. The Radicals offense couldn't get into a rhythm. They didn't have a chance to play until about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Feels like they've started to find that rhythm a little bit here in the second half.
Absolutely, I agree, and I do think that the absence of Andrew Brown, we haven't talked about that enough. I'm sure that has made an impact on them as well. It's just easy to overlook that with a team as much finesse as the Radicals.
And Aaron Watson comes down with a huck from Fedorenko. An 11-second score to Camp, and then 12 seconds later, Watson replies. If goals are scored every 10 seconds the rest of the quarter, we're going to set some records.
Some of the longest points we've seen at the beginning of this game, coupled by some of the fastest.
Yeah, it took more than 6 minutes to score the first 2 goals of the game. It takes 23 seconds to get the 2 scores the start of this quarter. But that reminds you, a 4-goal lead with 11 minutes to go, far from insurmountable in the AUDL. And Pittsburgh, in both of its road games 2 weeks ago, at Chicago and at Minnesota, both those games the Thunderbirds trailed in the fourth quarter and then rallied back to win. So Pittsburgh has been in this spot before. Ryan Hart will pick it up. Morgenstern on the mark. Scullion under pressure from Hammonds. Trywise. Camp leaping to keep it alive. Scullion, a veteran. Jaden Scullion continues to be a very steady handler for the Radicals. Looking to Trywise. Beautiful throw. They wrap the toss around the defender, Thaw. And Pat Trywise had nothing but green grass ahead of him for the Radicals score.
So the two longer puts we've seen so far this quarter, much crisper, better executed than the longer throws we've seen earlier in this game.
And it was Scullion who picks up the assist this time. Pat Trywise isn't often talked about among the greatest players in the sport, but he was very competitive at the Team USA tryouts. Easily could have made the USA national team and fit in very, very well on that squad. Moved to Madison to pursue a PhD in engineering. He played his college ultimate at Kansas State, where he captained the Huxtables in Manhattan, Kansas. And a whistle downfield. Kuntz is going to step off. Not sure if he tweaked something there. Said to David Hogan before, hardly recognized you without the mohawk. Said it was turning into more of a mullet, so I had to do something about it. Here's Shepard, who's had a really nice night. Very promising young player. Mature swing to space right there. Was throwing more to a space than to a man. Here's Beardsley. Marmerstein. Saul keeps it alive. Marmerstein to Fedorenko, and he was in. He curled that cut at the last minute to land in the end zone. So 18-15 with 10:03 to play. Fedorenko out of the University of Dayton. Played a couple of years in the AUDL for the Cincinnati Revolution before joining the Thunderbirds in Pittsburgh. David Hogan said he's still not anywhere near his ceiling as an ultimate player. See the Breeze up by 4. Looking to knock off the rush and hand Toronto their second loss of the season. We'll see DC on ESPN3 next week against the New York Empire. And what news the Empire made this past week. Adding Jeff Babbitt from UMass and John Wodach from UConn. Just out of the reach of Annan, and an opening here perhaps for Pittsburgh. Will this work? It will not. Eddie Peters with another costly mistake.
I feel like that mistake was born of nerves here in the fourth quarter. As you said, Pittsburgh has been down before and they know how to come back, but Madison is known for pulling away in the fourth quarter. So they have that to battle with as well.
Annan for Brown. Right up the line. Awesome. Same third Huck. near side of the field. It's worked out well several times, that outside and forehand. 4-score game again.
The shape of that throw makes it so much easier for the receiver to read, and it also makes it more difficult for the defender to get into position.
Ryan Hart from Kevin Brown. The Radicals do not play Pittsburgh again after today. They'll host Detroit next week before a 3-game road trip at Minnesota on the 17th, and then at Chicago and Cincinnati on June 25th and 26th. Madison will close the regular season with a 2-game weekend at Chicago on Friday and home for Indy on Sunday, July 8th and July 10th. Here's Fedorenko. Marked by Kevin Pettit-Scantling. And the around to Isaac Saul. Watson. Bluffs the over the top as Frood sets the mark, and Jay Frood got a lot of disc, and he got all disc according to the referees. Watson's throw completely canceled, and now Frood looking. Pettit-Scantling running. Can he get there? No. I think I've heard folks say, if you get the D, you're allowed to take that shot.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, absolutely not.
That's not a rule you employ as a former captain of your club team?
It's not a rule, but I won't deny that I have made that shot, Evan.
Who hasn't? David Vatz, a little shaken up. Perhaps just a cramp, he'll take a breather.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning again that the Pittsburgh squad is slightly understaffed. They have only 18 players here. Fatigue is undoubtedly starting to set in.
Well, Pittsburgh has certainly left something to be desired in terms of their traveling roster. And not just this time around. Last year on ESPN3, some of their top players did not make the trip. Oh, and Mechanix rips it away. He hit Marmerstein hard. Marmerstein appears to be shaken up, but Madison pays it off anyway. The Radicals sending it to the end zone for the score. Although this may come back because of the injury. Now, Hogan making the argument. It doesn't look like he's going to be satisfied by it.
Be interesting to see that again. I didn't think Mechanix fouled the player. It looks like he reached over his shoulder and cleanly grabbed the disc. Certainly worth taking a look at again.
Seth Meyer, the great catch in the end zone for the goal to stretch the lead back to 5. Here's the D. What do you think, Megan?
I take that back. I think that was a foul. That hip check looked pretty prominent.
It goes as a score from Proust to Meyer with style. Tim DeBile, Jake Spiro, the bearded leaders of the Radicals. Beardsley streaking deep. They looked him off, and now they're looking long. A lot of traffic there, and Beardsley came back for it. Looked like Weber was there.
Yeah.
Layout from Fedorenko. Could not secure possession. Kevin Brown drops the hammer. And Wiegand couldn't haul it in.
He looked a little complacent as he was receiving, which gave Pittsburgh enough time to come in and D that disc. I know Wiegand had to wait for the disc to come down, but he still could have attacked it.
Fedorenko versus Mechanix here. And it's Mark Fedorenko making the leaping catch under the pressure. Crossfield Scuba. That was fancy from Max Shepard. Throw that absent Thunderbird Tad Whistle will appreciate, and then Repperman's flick blades too fast. Fedorenko made that catch, but now he's a little shaken up, and he will step to the sideline. And as we take a break for the injury, Madison calls for the timeout to get a fresh line on the field. We'll take it too.
Imagine you're in a new town for a couple of days and you find yourself wanting a bike. Use Spin Lister to rent any kind of bike in your area in over 55 countries. Have an unforgettable adventure while saving up to 40% on rentals. And whatever you do, don't forget to enjoy your ride. Rent a bike today or list your own to start making money and connecting with awesome people.
It's a gorgeous night here in Madison, Wisconsin. There were thunderstorms in the forecast, but so far so good as we welcome you back midway through the fourth quarter. The story not so good in Raleigh, North Carolina, where the game between the Atlanta Hustle and the Raleigh Flyers has been canceled because of lightning. The Atlanta Hustle tweeting just a few minutes ago the game has been canceled. Not sure if they mean it's postponed and they'll try to make it up sometime in the next 5 weekends, or if perhaps that game might be canceled and it might just be a 13-game season for Raleigh and Atlanta. That game could have playoff implications. So we'll see what the schedule makers decide to do.
Yeah, the South is certainly a division that's tough to have any game be canceled.
Tough catch there by Camp. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the DC Breeze have finished off the Toronto Rush as Morgenstern bids and Shrywise shaken up on the landing. Pat Shrywise immediately slapped the ground in frustration, and he popped right up, but clearly not moving well as he gets to the sideline. We saw Vats and Fedorenko take injuries, now Shrywise. Madison trying to close out this win. The Radicals have led wire to wire. Riggles shows off his throwing skills, finding Ryan Tucker, and Wiseman's open in the end zone. So even without Shrywise, the Radicals take their largest lead of the night at 21-15. Just when you thought you'd seen the tools in Riggles' toolbox, he pulls out the 45-yard flick.
You know, this team just works so well together. You think of one player as a handler or as a cutter, but in just a short sequence of events, a player can show you how versatile he is. We've seen so many throws from Wiseman that have been beautiful tonight, and then he makes a great downfield cut to catch that disc for the score. Again, all of these players know that they just need to play ultimate. They need to play together, so they fill in whatever spots are necessary in any given point.
Another score to tell you about from the East Division. The New York Empire all over The Philadelphia Phoenix leading 28-15 midway through the third. Fedorenko back in the game, but he could not haul in the deep shot. Kevin Pettit-Scantling with the D. KPS at midfield. The Radicals trying to close out a win. You saw the score, Ottawa leading Montreal in the fourth quarter in Ontario. Delay of game called against Watson. Not sure what that call was for. Watson's gonna backpedal 10 yards.
Yeah, Watson looks equally confused.
Lady hammer, stolen by Pettit-Scantling.
Pettit-Scantling had eyes for that the second it went off.
That disc was dead on the release. Madison's hammer, on the other hand, works out. That point belonged to Pettit-Scantling. 2 Ds and the score.
Guess that's bookends plus an extra end. Not exactly sure what you'd call that.
I think he's got bookends, and then he, you know, is halfway to having another bookshelf ready to go. Kevin Pettit-Scantling from Racine, Wisconsin, began playing Ultimate at Barefoot Pickup. And now he's a guy that organizes a local Ultimate community in Racine. And he has become another great example of what a young, unknown athlete can be at the professional level. He's a very thoughtful guy as well. And Pittsburgh, they were as close as one at 12-11. They fell behind 14-11. It was 18-15 here in the fourth with 10:03 to go. And obviously the Radicals, much like they did against Chicago, very strong in the fourth quarter behind these home fans.
Interesting, but not surprising, Evan. A lot of the top teams in all of the divisions are kings of the fourth quarter. We've seen that from the Toronto Rush, the Dallas Roughnecks. This year, the San Francisco FlameThrowers, the Madison Radicals. All these teams can really take a tiny lead and turn it into a giant separation in that fourth quarter.
Buss, Trimble, Vats, Beardsley, Saul on the line for Pittsburgh. You see Frood, Mechanix, and Everhart for the Radicals. See those fans with the discs in the stands in that first, they're ready to play. As soon as the game ends, they're going to be down on the field throwing.
They're just waiting for the time that they show up and Tim DeBile says, Mark Swain is out, we need you on the field.
Could happen any day now. Oh, and Logan Bruce. That might be the knockout blow, but it was dropped. Oh, Everhart had it and then lost it. Scott Trimble. No release for Beardsley. Aaron Buss. Pittsburgh keeps it alive with a layout. Buss to Vats. And Vats is just not working for him. Something in his legs, presumably not feeling quite right. It's tough to see. He knows something's wrong. Hammonds comes in, hits Saul. Marmerstein to the end zone for the score, and Pittsburgh with 2:34 to go gets its first goal in more than 7 minutes. Snaps a 4-0 Madison run. David Hogan, before the score, wanted a contact call against Mechanix. I think he had a decent case. So Hammonds replaces Vats and gets the score. Joe Marmerstein, another assist. He's a really interesting young player. David Hogan told me before the game that he'll email me more than anyone to talk strategy, to figure things out. You know, in their game against Chicago, they were forcing backhand, and Chicago was getting beaten, or was using the scuba a lot to throw over that backhand force. And it was Marmerstein on the sideline that kept shouting, hands up on the mark, hands up on the mark. And late in the game, the 1D that basically won the game was on a scuba that was blocked with the hands being up on the mark.
You know, he's currently at Case Western Reserve for a grad school program in bioengineering, so it doesn't surprise me that he's a particularly thoughtful fellow.
Spent some time, written a couple articles for UltiWorld, and as much as Charlie Eisenhood has put into the site, I don't think he's going to make a career writing for UltiWorld, although it's great to have him contribute in that way. Cross field for the score.
Savvy vet setting himself up well away from the Pittsburgh defenders, becomes a more than viable option for that score.
So Pittsburgh has scored a couple straight here, and it looks like the thunderstorms that we anticipated might be rolling in here as the game winds down. Just felt a burst of cold wind, and it feels like the rain is imminent.
Well, we held off for as long as we could, Evan.
Also imminent, though, another Radicals victory. They've had smiles on their face at Bree Stevens almost every single game that they've played here. The only loss coming over 1,100 days ago against the Windy City Wildfire on May 12, 2013. Today will be the 28th straight win at home for Madison. Really, for the first time tonight, the wind is picked up. It was a choppy start. Madison went up 5-0. Pittsburgh was able to get back into the game. It was a one-score game several times, but Pittsburgh never did find that equalizer. And Pittsburgh looking for one last run, turned it over. So Riggles gets it back, and now Frood looking long, and that disc in and out of the hands of Meyer. Seth Meyers had a nice game tonight. And that throw goes over the outstretched arms of Beardsley. A sloppy conclusion to what was a very typical victory for the Radicals. Not always pretty, but the defense overpowering. Madison doesn't drop 30 tonight, but the Radicals get the 7-score win. For Pittsburgh, the game finishes as it starts. And all zeros on the clock with Madison ahead 23-16. The 28th straight win here at Breese-Stevens Field for the Madison Radicals. Pittsburgh was undermanned, battled tough to get back into it, but ran out of gas down the stretch. Madison starts the game on a 5-0 run, closes the game on a 5-1 run, and that was the story. The Radicals are 8-0 on the year, and Megan Tormey is down on the field with Jay Frood.
Thanks so much, Evan. Jay, you guys came out a little more fired up. In particular, I thought we saw some great energy from you, a few saving grabs that helped keep the point alive. What changed in the halftime, or what did you guys talk about during the halftime that picked you guys up?
Well, we knew it was going to be a hard-fought game. Pittsburgh's always coming in here. They've done a great job of battling us, so we knew we had to pick up the intensity like we started the game and bring it back home. Let these fans have something to cheer about. So I think that was just, know that we had to get it done, and we did.
How did you guys feel when you were down by 5 points? Was there concern across the board, or did you know you just needed to make some slight adjustments?
Yeah, I think we were just having a couple mental errors, fundamental things that were, just knocking us off our block. But we picked ourselves back up, got back up on that totem pole, and kept that D rolling. So did a great job on D. The O really picked it up. Kevin Brown had a phenomenal game, and Camp had some great cuts there too. So good job to those guys getting the D back on the field and allowing us to do our jobs.
Well, another beautiful win at home right ahead of the inclement weather, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Back to you, Evan.
Megan, thanks so much. It was
Thanks,
a typical
Jay.
effort for the Radicals as they thank their fans. In a way, no one stood out. And in a way, everyone stood out. And that's the story for the Radicals as they win it 23-16 against the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds tonight. Welcome back to the booth, everybody. A fun night here in Madison. It was beautiful, and it looks like it's about to get a little less beautiful in these next couple of minutes, so perfect timing. Madison's 8-0. The Toronto Rush are no longer undefeated. They lost a few weeks back to Montreal. They lost again tonight, so Toronto now has 2 losses. Elsewhere around the league, you have Dallas undefeated at 9-0 with a plus 99 point differential. And San Francisco puts its undefeated record on the line later tonight against Vancouver. San Francisco also has a tough game at Dallas tomorrow. Next week, we'll be in DC for the Empire and perhaps their new additions like Babbitt and Wodash against the DC Breeze, coming off a great win over the favorite, the Toronto Rush in the East. But tonight, the Madison Radicals proving why they are still the monsters of the Midwest. Madison with 28 straight wins at Breese-Stevens Field. They win it tonight 23-16 over Pittsburgh. For Megan Tormey, Evan Leffler saying so long from Breese-Stevens. On behalf of our entire Fulcrum Media crew, we say good night from Madison. We'll talk to you next Saturday from Washington, D.C. Good night, everybody.